Welcome back. Today I'm doing a VR challenge for Shane at Shoebox Legends, or I could say Cheesebox Legends. He's got these wonderful cheese boxes that he pulls cards out of on so many different episodes, and there's a good variety of them. And he's got one of the best collections that you'll ever want to see on YouTube. Check him out, give him a subscription. But he has a fun VR challenge for us. He wants us to pick one card per year that would that we would want to remind us of that year in baseball or whatever sport we wanted to choose. And I have a set I'm working on, 1939 through 46 exhibits. So I'm gonna go through and use my exhibit cards and picking one card for each year for each baseball season between 1939 and 1946. We'll start off with 1939. The runner-ups, I should say. One was Bucky Walters, the Cincinnati Reds. He was the NL MVP, um, pitching Triple Crown that year. Most wins, most strikeouts, and the best ERA in the National League. And also, the second runner-up was Bob Feller. He finished the season with a 25-9 record, 2.85 ERA. Another great player. But the one I picked was the American League MVP. His team won the World Series. It's 1939. He had 30 homers, 126 RBIs, and a 381 batting average. None other than Joe DiMaggio. That's a great pose there. Cordially, Joe DiMaggio. These are all salutation exhibits. They'll all have something like truly yours, yours truly. Joe says cordially yours. But he's my choice for a card if I only had one card to represent the 1939 baseball season. 1940. His team lost the World Series, but he was the AL MVP. Played for the Detroit Tigers. You might know who that is. He hit 41 homers, 150 RBIs, and batted 342. I believe he lost the batting title to Joe DiMaggio by like 10 points. And this is Hank Greenberg, Hammer and Hank. Yours truly, Hank Greenberg. This was his last full season before he entered the service. He was the first major league player drafted in the spring of 1941. He played 19 games with the Tigers, went into the service, and they released him on December 5th, 1941. 2 days later was Pearl Harbor, and shortly after that, before the 1942 season, Hank re-enlisted in the service, and so he lost a good 4.5 seasons to the service. May have had a chance for 500 home runs if he had averaged around 40 home runs a year, which was very possible. He had 41 in 1940, and then his first full season back, he had 44 homers, I believe, and just a remarkable player. And the runners up to Hank Greenberg were Bob Feller again, 27-11 record and a 2.61 ERA. And the other runner-up was Johnny Mize, the National League MVP, or runner-up for the National League MVP. He had 43 homers, led the league, 137 RBIs, led the league, batted 314. And 1941, this was a very controversial year because one player hit 406 and the other one had a 56-game hitting streak. And for me, it came down to the batting 406. I went with Ted Williams for 1941. Sincerely yours, Ted Williams. Ted had a great year, 37 homers, 120 RBIs, and batted .406. Took second in the MVP race to Joe DiMaggio. DiMaggio had the 56 game hitting streak. He batted .357, 30 homers, and led the league with 125 RBIs. And I don't think there was even a person I could list for number 3 that year. Most people are going to say either Williams or DiMaggio. 1942, this player finished second in the MVP again, but he won a Triple Crown. That's Dan Musial. That's Ted Williams. He finished second in MVP to Joe Gordon. Ted hit 36 homers, 137 RBIs, and batted .356. And he beat out Gordon, MVP. He had 18 homers, 103 RBIs, and batted .322 for the American League champion New York Yankees. Mort Cooper was the NL MVP. He finished with a 22-7 record and a 1.78 ERA. 1943, a lot of players were off to the service, and this was the year before this player went off to the service. Stan Musial probably would have been the person I would select, but he's not in this set. And also the AL MVP, Spud Chandler, was 20-4 with a 1.64 ERA, and he was not in this set either. So I went with Luke Appling, American League batting champion. 80 runs batted in, batted .328. And I just love that black White Sox uniform. And look at the beads on the hat. Sincerely yours, Luke Appling. 1944, another tricky year. Detroit Tigers had a great pitching staff, and Hal Newhouser was 29-9 with a 2.22 ERA that year. But his teammate, Paul Trout, he was 27-14, 2.12 ERA. He also hit 5 home runs and had a .271 batting average as a pitcher. So I went with Paul Trout for 1944. So that means the next guy up, 1945, Hal Newhouser had a big year again, and that was his turn for the MVP. Tigers won the World Series. Newhouser was 25-9 with 1.81 ERA, AL MVP, back-to-back AL MVPs. In fact, World Series winner, beat out Snuffy Sternweiss, who was batting leader in the American League with a .309 average, and Tommy Holmes, the National League home run leader with 28 homers, 117 RBIs, and .352 batting average. In 1946, everybody was back from the service and playing full seasons. Ted Williams had a great year with 38 homers, 123 RBIs, and a .342 average. Stan Musial, NL MVP, had a .365 average. But Bob Feller, who was in the running nearly every year when he played, Feller was 26-15 in 1946 with a 2.18 ERA, and he pitched 348 strikeouts, the most since 1904 when Rube Waddell had 349 strikeouts. So that was a big year for Bob. And that's 1946. That comes to the end of the era for that set. Um, it was nationally available through arcades and vending machines, and I really enjoyed this VR. I'm glad Shane came up with this VR challenge. It's fun picking these players out and trying to decide who I should put as what card I want to stand for that year. And we'll go back through them real quick. 1939, Joe DiMaggio. 1940, Hank Greenberg. 1941, Ted Williams and his .406 batting average. 1942, Ted Williams, the Triple Crown winner. 1943, Luke Appling in his awesome uniform. 1944, Dizzy Trout. 1945, back-to-back MVP, Hal Newhouser. And 1946, Fireballer, Bob Feller. Hope you enjoyed. There's a lot of other good VRs out there for Shane's challenge. Hope you can get a chance to take a look at it, a lot of them, and go check out Shane's channel and subscribe. And thank you very much.